This is the most important question anyone can ever ask you. And I need an honest answer. Honest answers only. Are you building your dream? Are you living a life in consonance with your principles, with your purpose? Or you're building someone else's life? Or are you living someone else's dream? Today we're diving deep into the mechanics of turning your dreams into reality. I'm an engineer, so that's what I've been trained to do, to get something from a concept that people can barely explain where they want to get, turn this into a project, and from project, put it into an assembly line so we can ship it worldwide for millions and millions of people. Today, we're going to start turning your dreams into reality. If you ever felt stuck in your 9 to 5 grind and wondered if there's more to life, well, this is for you. Today, we'll uncover 3 key takeaways. First of all, the entrepreneur's equation, or better yet, the entrepreneur's inequation, how it's based in 3 critical factors that can catapult you from being just a cog in a machine in the corporate world to a beast who's going to break the wheel. Then we're going to talk about the Sigma mindset. Oh, I know they got a bad rap, but please bear with me just for this episode, okay? If you ever wondered what would have happened if Romulus and Remus were raised by sheep instead of by a she-wolf, this is for you. We're going to explore the impact of environment and mindset in your journey to success. Finally, we'll see that badasses come in all shapes and sizes. There's no age, there's no gender, there's no color, there's no origin, there's no nothing. We'll have some real life stories, people showing us that it's never too early and it's never too late to chase our dreams. And as the saying goes, time is money, so let's start wasting it, right? There's a reason why so many people work their 9 to 5. And it's not only because of necessity. There are many people that could do something else with their lives, especially in well-developed countries like America or most of Europe or even Japan. But they don't. There's something missing. So what's the catalyst from jumping from a cozy 9 to 5 to the emotional roller coaster of the entrepreneurial chaos? Because building a business is not easy. Building a business, it's damn hard. You'll probably end up working much more than at your 9 to 5. There's no 9 to 5. Building a business, there's no weekends or no nights. Anytime is time to build your business. But it comes with its own perks, of course. For example, you'll never have to convert an Excel into a PDF for your boss again and know that your boss makes 3 times your salary. By building your business, you'll be much closer to an actual meritocracy. You have to assume extreme ownership of the outcomes. You're the only one to blame. You can't blame your boss anymore, or the economy, or otherwise external circumstances. You have to think for yourself, and that's hard. That requires responsibility. Fortunately, most people don't like being responsible. So if you've grown with Western values, likely been programmed to avoid risks because they're scary, or maybe you've been told to land a stable job at a big corporation so you can work there for 40 years until you retire. You'll work 40 to 50 hours a week, 40 plus years, your 2 weeks of vacation every year if you're in the US, or if you're in Europe, you'll get 30 or 40 days vacation and just stop the whole continent between July and August. Yeah, I've lived there. I know what you guys do. And then after 40 plus years, when you're 65, you're gonna retire, and then you're gonna have fun. It will be so much fun when you can't even walk up a staircase because your knees start hurting, won't it? And then you know what happens after you're 65 and suddenly you're 75, and then you're 85 if you're lucky enough to live to 85. And then you know what happens. So the alternative cost, ditching this well-trodden path, feels overwhelming. You're probably thinking, well, 9 out of 10 start out of fail in the first 2 years, don't they? So it's better safe than sorry, right? Maybe. Maybe it is for you. Maybe it isn't. We've been conditioned by society for all our formative years to think like this, making us wary of taking risks. So you just stick to doing what you know you're 200% qualified. Because you know what? I'm not a lunatic. I'm not crazy. If I'm not sure, I can't answer. If I'm not sure exactly all the steps I have to take, if I don't have a well devised plan for every single step, with every single outcome, with every single response that the world can give me, I'm not ready. And you might be right, but you'll never be ready. It's impossible. If you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know what will happen. Sometimes something you think is perfect, when you put it out there, people think it's shit. Sometimes the contrary happens. Sometimes you're such a perfectionist that you may think that what you have to offer the world is terrible, but when you show someone else what you have, they'll say it's awesome. They'll say they'd buy it from you if you were willing to sell. You never know if you didn't try, if you didn't put it out there and get real world feedback. In your mind, you're juggling these two elements. You're juggling the fear of failure and the alternative costs. So what's going to be greatest for you? Is your fear going to outweigh the cost? Or does the alternative sound so compelling to you that it might be worth it? What's the alternative cost in our minds? Well, when we think of it from a negative prism, it probably has two elements. Straying away from the norm will come with the risk of being labeled a failure. That's terrible in our society. Or you might think you will miss out on career opportunities if you take a break from the corporate world to pursue fulfillment. And I've listened to a story in a podcast recently. It was in Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson. He was interviewing Shan Puri, and Shan was talking about the experience of a guy. I'm not gonna remember his name right now, sorry, but you should definitely watch that podcast episode. It's awesome. And there were two guys that worked at a bank or at an investment firm, and they were about 20 something, 20, 23, maybe 24, not much after college. And they were two friends working together, and they were thinking, what about if we go on a sabbatical to Europe, go backpacking for a month, for 2, 3 months, 6 months? I don't remember the exact time they wanted to stay there, a year maybe. And then we can come back and try to come back to our job. And if there's no job at our company, we can just look for another job. And the other friend, he was more conscious of what could happen, and he was afraid of doing this, and he didn't go. So the friend went to Europe, had all his backpacking experiences, all the crazy stories, lived his life, gathered a bunch of experience, and when he came back, he did get the job back, and he told his friend about all the crazy things he did, about sleeping in train stations, about hitchhiking with truck drivers, about hooking up with tons of girls, everything he did that was different, that he could never do in America. And the friend got a bit jealous, but he only gathered the courage to ask his boss to do something similar, to get a month for free, to take a sabbatical when he was already afraid of something. And he went and he tried to live the experiences that his friend had lived 10 years before. And the thing is, there's a reason why we have to do things at a certain point of our life. So there's a reason why you should do some quote unquote stupid stuff when you're very young, when you're 18, 20, 25, because later they won't be as attractive to you, first of all. And the experiences you get from doing them won't be the same. They won't make sense. And there's another concept from the book Dive of Zero, and maybe that's where the whole reference came from. Experiences like knowledge, like money, it compounds over time. So the sooner you can get those experiences, the better, because they will compound upon each other and compound over time. And the guy who was Freddy something, he saw that at his age, staying at hostels and eating instant noodles and doing all those things that a backpacker does weren't so appealing to him anymore. And that he probably should have gone with his friend when he had a chance. But now he can't anymore. He will never enjoy those things like he would if he had gone when he was younger. So this is the game-changing wild card, the Joker, that we can throw into our equation. Remember, we have the fear of failure and we had the alternative cost. And both of these things are mainly seen as a negative thing. But what if we throw in another element that can be much greater than both of them combined, hopefully? And that is passion. You know, that intense desire of or enthusiasm for something, that fire in your belly to do something that you feel compelled to do. Imagine you're so fired up about solving a problem that discipline becomes irrelevant. You just don't need discipline because you can work on your problem from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. And sometimes you might even dream about it while you're sleeping because you're so fired up, you're so passionate about that it becomes like a rocket fuel. You are so hard-headed into delivering such massive value to the people that you don't need discipline. Just do it because you know you have to, you feel compelled to. Hence what I call the entrepreneur inequation. And for those of you who don't like math or you think you don't like math, rest assured, trust me, I'm an engineer. I'll help you out with the math. It's not that complicated, I promise. You remember in equations, right? The little alligator that something is greater to or something is less than something else. Well, in our case, on the left side, we have passion, and on the right side, we have fear of failure plus alternative cost. So if the passion is smaller than the sum of the fear of failure with the alternative cost, the person won't become an entrepreneur. They won't risk it because the fear might be too big or the alternative cost might be too big. Maybe they already have an awesome job. There's no point in trying to do something new. So really, this part of the episode won't be for these people anyway. But sometimes either the fear is not so big or they don't have so much to lose, so the alternative cost is not so big, or the passion is just so strong, it's just such a fire, it lights such a fire in their belly that they can walk through the fucking walls to get what they want. And if that's your case, if your passion is so potent that it eclipses all your fears and all the perceived costs, you will take the leap. You will jump from the building to the next one. You will do whatever you can, or you'll die trying. Even if the odds are against you, even if no one believes, you know it's right for you. That's your purpose, and you will do whatever it takes. So, how can we tweak the equation? How can we make passion become greater than the sum of fear and with the alternative cost? Well, first of all, most important probably, boost your passion. You need to find something you're obsessed, something that you can dive into for hours without expecting anything in return. Something with which you can enter into such a flow state that you can spend hours and hours and days and weeks and months and maybe even years doing, and you will feel like a couple minutes have passed. That's your competitive edge. And on the other side of the the equation. You can minimize your fears, you can change your failure mindset. And if you need some help, you can go back to the previous episode on failure, because mistakes, they're only stepping stones. They're not stumbling blocks. You should surround yourself with bold thinkers and go-getters, because like the saying says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Also, you can lower the alternative cost, and it can be both mental or tangible. It can be a mental block, a limiting belief, or a generational curse you have, or it can be a tangible cost, like losing the income you get from your salary. So you need to find ways to reduce this alternative cost, be it by breaking your limiting beliefs, be it by having some money stashed so you can give yourself some space to take off. For instance, my buddy Dakota Robertson, you might have heard of him. He's very famous on X. He said that when he decided to go all in to becoming a content creator and ghostwriter, he has stashed some money under the mattress to cover something between 6 and 12 months of his expenses. So he could have some time to work on his craft and try to become what he has become. And you know what? It worked out for him. He bet on himself. He did what he had to do. And now he has a very considerable income because he bet on himself. And of course, things could have not worked out like he wanted to, but he could just get another job then. Go back to the starting point, but with much more experience and knowing that he did what he could, that he did whatever it took. And it doesn't matter ultimately if you fail or not, if you succeed or not. The greatest failure you can be is the one that doesn't even try. That's being a loser, not failing. Fail at least means you tried. So now let's manipulate the equation and let's bend those numbers to your will. You want to know how you can go from fear to passion? We'll talk about that. But first, please share this with your friend that just hates his boss. You've probably heard about the Sigma movement or the Sigma mindset. And maybe you hate those guys and their terms like grind set and Chads and Stacy's, blue pill, black pill, red pill, purple pill, white pill, whatever the hell, whatever the pill, alpha, beta, sigma, gamma, whatever. But please bear with me for just a little bit more. When you think of risk or of failing, you probably think, I wish I had the guts to do something like Dakota did, or like the other guy who went on a backpacking trip for months did. But that's not for me. Or maybe you're thinking, no, you're right, but now I'm too old, man. Now I'm 32. How can I do it now? Oh man. Oh, now I'm 55. You know, my mom, she could be a hell of a good lawyer. She was a dentist, and she had an accident when I was little, fell from the stairs, never could practice dentistry again. Since then, she's worked in real estate, never tried to go back to dentistry, and deep down, she knows she would be a great lawyer. But whenever I ask her, Mom, don't you go to law school then? You can. And she says, oh no, but now I'm too old. Oh, because when I graduate, I will be X years old by then. But the thing is, we've been saying that she should do this for like 10, 15, 20 years. Time will pass anyway. You will get old. You will get older. Hopefully, actually, because getting old is actually a privilege. So don't use this as an excuse. Or maybe you might be putting the power in the hands of another person. You might be saying, I know, I wish I had the guts. This would be so good, but it's harder because I have kids, or because I have a wife, or because my parents are still holding me back. Yeah, they will. Anyone will hold you back as long as you give them the power. Unless you grab life by the reins and give yourself the power back, you'll be just a pushover to whoever it may be, your boss, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, mom. But it doesn't have to be that way. Here's the deal. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. You can't go back. Like Chico Xavier, a very famous spiritist leader from Brazil, said, you can't go back and make a new start, but you can start now and make a new ending. So you can start from now on. What can you do to build a better future? What are the seeds you can sow now so that you can harvest and reap the results in the future? Because think, the past, it's gone. Future is uncertain. You don't even know if you'll be there. But the present, you see the name present. It's a gift. Embrace it. Just have now. And to be honest, I appreciate very much. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for using your now, the most precious moment in all of your life. That's now. Listening to me. Thank you. Hope I'm being helpful and that you can use this as fuel to lead a better life from now on. Please go on. Well, we tend to think that business owners are those trailblazers, those crazy guys that have no fears. And some of them really are. But the truth is, most of them are actually terrified. They're not that much of a trailblazer. The thing is, they're very good observants. They see the writing on the wall, or better yet, on the board. And seeing the writing on the board, in this case, it's a good one, with a cool guitar and car and everything. But entrepreneurs, they see the writing on the wall. They see the writing on the wall, and it says something that's not very nice. It freaks them out. They don't want to risk it because they know they might get fired simply because the investors are sad because the numbers are not as pretty. So the CFO needs to needs to lay off people to get better numbers, or they fear that after they turn 45 and they're already expensive for the company, that they will be tossed to the garbage bin, like if they were nothing. And rest assured, many times they will. They will be changed like a spare tire. But the thing is, most of the time, you'll get that big tire, it's the perfect fit, and they will change it for two small bicycle tires that many times won't do the job right, but at least they're less expensive. That's what they'll think. And also, probably the most important, they don't want to miss out on life's precious moments. They don't want to miss out on their kid's recital because, oh my God, the client has called and you have to come back to the office ASAP because there's been a terrible mistake. You've mispunctuated an email and now the world is on fire. No, they don't want to miss precious moments of life. They don't like the idea of not being able to take 2 or 3 or 4 week trip with their kids and their spouse and create memories that will last a lifetime. When you put all of this into perspective, doesn't it seem like betting on yourself might actually be a no-brainer? Be the quota. And when dealing with kids, we should strive to raise wolves, not sheep, not just another NPC. Do you guys know the legend of the foundation of Rome? There were those two twin boys, infants, that were still being breastfed. They were abandoned in the woods. Suddenly, a she-wolf adopts them. The she-wolf takes Romulus and Remus as if they were her own offspring and breastfeeds them, and they end up founding Rome that becomes one of the greatest empires of all time. And lately it's even a meme because, of course, Everyone knows that us men think about the Roman Empire at least 12 times a minute. Now imagine if instead of being raised by a wolf, they'd been raised by a sheep. There would be no Rome. Would be a footnote in history. It would be max a little shepherd village that no one would know about. What does it tell us? That our upbringing shapes our worldview. If you've always felt like the black sheep in your family or in your circle of friends, you might be in the right path already. Because most of them aren't happy anyway, and they don't feel fulfilled anyway. So it might pay off to be the black sheep and adopt the Sigma mindset. And what would be those steps to adopting this badass Sigma wolf mindset? First, most important, and this one was said by the man himself, Alex Ramosi, many times, the easiest way, change your environment. Surround yourself with people who share your goals or have a that you aspire to. And this change doesn't even need to be drastic. Just go work at a coffee shop or move to the other side of town. Little changes might be enough to prime yourself to enact big changes in the way you think about. The second, create the evidence. Actions speak louder than words. And applying knowledge to create evidence screams. You start doing whatever you want to do and creating a track record that proves you're capable. You will start getting confident. It doesn't work the other way around. You can't be confident that you can do it if you don't have the evidence to back it up. So first, you start creating the evidence and then you'll feel confident. We get it mixed, but it's the other way around. Finally, take ownership. Accept that you're responsible for your actions and their outcomes. It might be scary at first, but it's the best thing you can do because it will empower you and it will leave no room for excuses. No more blaming other people, no more blaming external circumstances. You do whatever is in your power. You do whatever you can and forget about everything else. You can change it anyway, so why bother? And if you're still thinking that this is not for you, God have mercy of your soul. Let's meet some inspiring examples. I hope there'll be enough to change your mind. Because badasses, they come in all shapes and sizes. You don't have to be your parents' golden boy or the teacher's pet to achieve greatness someday. Heck, you don't even need to be a boy. The success stories, they come from people in all walks of life, of all ages. Did you know Colin Sanders, the guy that founded KFC, he tried a bunch of stuff and he failed at all of them. He only founded KFC, the thing that we all remember him for, when he was 62. And he only became a millionaire when he was 74. So if you think you're too old, this guy founded a company when he should be retiring if he was on a corporate job. And then more than a decade later, he sold it and became a millionaire. So what's your excuse? That is not an excuse. And then think about Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. The guy shows us that you can't define yourself by 1 or 2 or 20 failures. Did you know that he was rejected by over 30 jobs? No one wanted to hire him. And he also tried to get into Harvard 10 times and he never got in. And that when KFC expanded to China, they had 23 openings and 24 people came to the interview. You know, the only one who wasn't hired, Jack Ma. He was the lone reject, but he was inspired by Forrest Gump. Really, I'm not making this up. You can look it up. He was inspired by Forrest Gump's story, so he didn't give up, and he went on to found Alibaba and become one of the world's richest men ever. And I know some of the girls out there might be thinking, okay, but you're just talking about guys. What about us girls? Girl power, right? Slay. Well, Let's talk about Sarah Blakely. You girls might have heard of her. You know that when she was 27, Sarah was a door to door fax machine seller. Yeah, she was a fax machine saleswoman, and her job required that she wore spandex every day. But one night she was going to a party and she didn't like the way she looked because she wanted to wear white pants and she thought that she looked silly with the spandex and the white pants. So she got a pair of scissors, cut the feet out, and went to the party, and she loved the way she looked. So after years of hard work, of trying and failing and trying again and failing again, Spanx became a huge company and Sarah became a billionaire. She was actually named by Forbes the world's youngest self-made female billionaire in 2012. And Sarah said a very powerful thing that I just need to quote with you guys. She said, "Don't let what you don't know scare you because it can become your biggest asset." Sometimes not knowing, having an outsider's view into something can be our biggest asset. So as you guys can see, success doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you face countless rejections or if you didn't have a strong start. You can do like Dory said, just keep swimming. You one day you might get there. One day you might find your Nemo. To wrap this up, you probably noticed that sometimes it pays off to be an underdog. You know, when you're down and out, and the world has written you off, no one believes you, that's when champions truly rise. All those icons that we look up to, the Michael Phelpses of the world, the Muhammad Ali's of the world, they weren't born with a golden ticket to success in their hands. They faced their own set of challenges, their own naysayers, their own self doubt, and many times this is the worst part. But here's the kicker: they chose to rise above it all. They chose to become champions, even if even if their upbringing wasn't that privileged, even if they came from a poor country, they chose to become great, to do whatever was in their power, get better and better and better. You have the same choice to make. You can choose to give your best, not because the world owes you anything, it doesn't, because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people around you to become the best version of yourself, to unleash your potential. Taking the first step, and I promise you just need one step and you'll never stop once you take that first step, because it's the hardest. When you take the first step, your dream might seem like a leap into the unknown, like jumping off a cliff. But once you get there, once you leap into the swimming pool, the water's fine. I promise. The water's fine. It's always colder in our heads. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If this message struck a chord, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that share button like the rock star you are. Let's bring more dreamers to the rock and roll to success. You can also follow me on X, Twitter, or Instagram. Should definitely sign up to my new. You can get the freshest bits of content. And like always, I love you guys. Keep rocking, keep rolling, and just go, go, go.